So right now I'd like to welcome to the stage Charles Jackson for violations of the LA-MOAD theory, multiple metaphors in comic book art. Take it away.
All right. Hey everybody. Thanks Igor for that introduction. As he said, I'm Charles Jackson. I'm going to be talking to you today about violations of the LA-MOAD theory, multiple metaphors in comic book art, otherwise known as the Flash versus Quicksilver talk. I don't know if any of you are familiar with these two, but these are the stars of our show today. So as Igor said, pictures can either be literal or they can be metaphorical, just like words, and today I'm going to be telling you about how those two combine so that you understand what's happening in a picture. So when we look at this picture, this is full of literal information. So you can see by his posture that the man is jumping, his arms are in the air, there is a ground plane. And so what we wanted to look at was how does metaphorical information combine with that so that you understand that the man is jumping. So a metaphorical device in this case would be multiple images. How do those processes work together and combine to help you understand them better? So to do that, we have the literal, additive, metaphorical, one and done LA-MOAD theory. And a lot of people always think of ice cream as a nice little touch on that. And what this theory says is that literal information is processed additively, while metaphorical information is processed non-additively. What this means is that when you get the first little device, that adds to your understanding of what's happening in the picture. And then, when you add more literal devices, this also adds to your understanding of what's happening in the picture. Metaphorical information, on the other hand, is processed non-additively, where the first metaphorical device that you get adds to your understanding of what's happening in the picture. But adding metaphorical devices does not help your understanding of the picture, hence the one and done manner. So let's take a look at this picture of a man falling. This is a horrible picture of a man falling because you don't have literal or metaphorical information there, except for him. But what happens when you add orientation, then you add posture, and then you add ground? All three literal devices add to one another to help you understand better that this man is falling. So the one and done metaphorical piece of that is we add one metaphorical device here, action lines, and now you understand even better than you did before that the man is falling. But what happens when I add another metaphorical device, such as multiple images? This does not improve your understanding of what's happening. It doesn't make it worse, but you don't understand any better that this man is falling than you did before. So previous studies did a corpus analysis of 400 comic books where they looked at several different types of motion to see how artists would draw literal and metaphorical devices. And so what you can see here on the x-axis, you have one literal device, one metaphorical, two literals, three literals, one literal metaphorical, and so on. On the y-axis, you have frequency of occurrences. So the first motion that they looked at was running. And doing a Poisson distribution, what they found was that this is the cutoff line. Above occurrences are preferred, below are non-preferred. What they found was that if you pay attention to these pieces, this is the violation of the LA-MOAD theory. These are multiple metaphors. What they found was that when it came to running, artists did not prefer to use multiple metaphorical devices, and this is true for falling and flying, and you get the gist of the other motions too. There was, however, one motion that did violate the LA-MOAD theory on multiple occurrences, and this came with superspeed. So, let me widen that for you. What you can see is that when it came to superspeed, artists preferred, or it looked like artists were using multiple metaphors all over the place. You can see here that there are multiple images, action lines, and blurred images that try to portray that the Flash is running very fast. We can look again at another cover. I'll zoom in on that. And again, you can see multiple images, action lines, and blurred images, all being portrayed for superspeed. So we thought, what are the possibilities of these violations? Well, the first possibility is that the LA-MOAD theory does not generalize to all types of motions. Maybe it does most motions, just not all types. Maybe superhuman speed is the violation. The other possibility, on the other hand, is that the superspeed was mainly influenced by one artist in particular, Carmine Infantino, who was a giant in the field of drawing comic books. And he drew the Flash. He was the main guy who started drawing the Flash. And what you can see here, this is from comic books that he drew, where he instructed people on how to draw the Flash. And what you can see is there's multiple images, there's blurred, and there's action lines. So he was instructing other artists on how to draw superspeed with using multiple metaphors all around. And you can even see his tag and everything there. So the other possibility is that maybe the LA-MOAD theory does in fact generalize to all types of motions, but it could just be that violations are due to the artistic styles and influence of a famous artist, Carmine Infantino. So we did a corpus analysis where we analyzed depictions of superspeed to determine how Carmine Infantino measured up against other artists, and for that is where you get Quicksilver, because Quicksilver is in the Marvel universe and he's equally as popular, and he was drawn by a variety of artists. So putting those two up against one another, this here, pay attention to the x-axis. You have no metaphorical devices, 1, 2, 3, 4 metaphorical devices. Y-axis, you have frequency of occurrences. And for a Poisson distribution for the Flash, where above occurrences again are preferred, below the cutoff line is not preferred. Paying close attention to the violations of the LA-MOAD theory with multiple metaphors, you can see that Carmine Infantino preferred to use multiple metaphors when he drew the Flash. Where yes, he did prefer to use one metaphorical device a lot, but look at how often he used 2 and 3 metaphorical devices as well. Doing the same analysis with the Quicksilver comics, paying close attention again to that, you can see that most artists preferred to use no metaphorical devices or 1 metaphorical device, staying clear of 3 and 4. Now you're looking at this is the violation of the LA-MOAD theory. 2 metaphorical devices with 2 occurrences happening above the cutoff line. So we wanted to take a closer look at that. We kind of thought to ourselves, okay, where are these occurrences happening? If they happen in the beginning, maybe this is just artists are learning how to draw Quicksilver. They haven't established themselves, and maybe they would try it out and then it would just fade away. So we decided to do a cumulative frequency where we looked at publication date and number of occurrences of these metaphor uses. So what you can see is for no metaphors, they consistently use no metaphors throughout until the present. For 1 metaphor, they used it even more frequently. When it came to 3 and 4 metaphors, you can see that if they used it at all, they just didn't. They rarely used it. However, the thing to look at is that for the 2 metaphors, if you look closely, all your violations are at the very beginning of the publication date, and then you see later it fades off to where they're not using them anymore. So that kind of sticks with what we were saying, where this was used in the beginning and then they just faded off with it. They didn't like it, it didn't stick. Doing the same analysis with the Flash, you can see that with no metaphors and 4 metaphors, Carmine Infantino never used them, but then with 1, 2, and 3 metaphorical devices, he was consistent when he started, he took a break, came back later, consistently used them time and time again. So then we wanted to do a cumulative frequency of issue serial. We wanted to see if there was a real difference in when artists were drawing these. So you can look on here, this is issue serial position, frequency of occurrences for the Flash and Quicksilver. For no metaphors used, there's a significant difference where Quicksilver is being drawn more often with no metaphors being used. For 1 metaphor, there is no difference when artists are drawing them 1 metaphor. Artists use them throughout the time. For 2 metaphors, the Flash is being drawn with 2 metaphors significantly more often than Quicksilver is, and 3 metaphors drawn significantly more often with them as well. So what this tells us is that maybe we were right with possibly number 2. The violations do appear to be more of an influential characteristic of Carmine Infantino. So what this means for art research, the LA-MOAD theory could provide a framework for investigating the use of metaphors in any art style or media. Could be movies, cartoons, anything where metaphors are used. And for artists, this LA-MOAD theory provides a guide for efficient depictions where you can minimalize the information that you're using while maximizing the information that is communicated. Thank you.
All right.